Hi, my name's Mary-Ann and welcome to the Wallflowers Kitchen. Today we're going to be doing a process called canning. Canning is normally an American term, and they use canning machines to preserve food in glass jars. Basically it's a pressure cooker that generates a seal in the jar which you can then store in the pantry for a year or a number of years. As I say, generally canning is an American term. My son treated me to this machine for Mother's Day, and he was lucky enough to find a European version. This is actually a German canning machine, quite a large one in comparison to other canning machines I've seen on YouTube and the internet. And it's fabulous. I've canned a number of things in it so far, and today we're going to make sausage casseroles, store them in recycled jars. These are jars that have previously been bought from the shops. These ones in particular would have been olive jars and sauerkraut jars. So I'm going to reuse those. I like to recycle as much as possible. Please don't feel because I do this that this is the way to do it. You have to find your own way. I'm happy with the results that I get from these jars and reusing them in the seals, resealing. I'm not about to tell everyone to do it, but it works for me. So here we have some bratwurst sausage, nice spiced bratwurst sausage that I've sliced, some onions, this is carrot and swede, we have some potatoes just resting in some lemon juice to retain the colour, some beautiful wild garlic that we picked on a forage recently. I have my spoons to be able to put the salt in when I need it. Some white vinegar, I use this twice. I use this to clean the jar lids after they've been full before I place the lids on. And we also put a little in the water to retain the sparkle of the glass. And make sure everything looks tickety-boo when it comes out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I don't really need the spoon for this one. I've calculated how many slices I have and to divide that between the amount of jars that I want. These jars are the bigger jars, as I've just said, and should my husband Brian and I decide to have a meal together of the casserole, then I should use a large jar. With the ingredients that are left, I will do some single size jars, which means if my son doesn't eat at the same time, he can come and take one jar, reheat it, and the food's already prepared for him to eat. So as I said, I'm going to put 10 slices in each jar now. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the method that we're using here is called the raw pack method. So none of these ingredients are actually cooked, they're all raw. And when they go through the process of the canning machine, they will be on for 90 minutes, an hour and a half, at a temperature of 100 degrees. So they will basically be half cooked, a good vacuum, and will store. So when we come to take them, they basically need heating through fully, which means it's the second half of the cook, and then it's ready. It just saves all the prep time, and it just means any food that we may have wasted in the meantime is stored and ready for us to use throughout the year. So I shall continue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's the sausages in. I'm now going to put a nice spoon of onion on the top of each one. It wouldn't be me cooking if I didn't make a mess at some point. I generally give them a little twirl to let it mix in. And I'm actually going to put the garlic in at this point. A little bit of wild garlic, tremendous flavour. Don't put too much in each jar. Now I'm going to put some turnip in. And the clean onion. Any labels that may still be on the jar now will surely come off by the time they come out the canning machine. So don't have to waste a lot of time making sure you peel them off. And then we'll just carry on and get as many of the carrots in as well. We like carrots, these carrots are nice and sweet. Actually going to put a bit more onion in each one. As I say, with the leftover ingredients, I shall do some smaller jars later. And now I'm actually leftover potatoes, make it a bit easy for myself. And we'll do the potatoes on top. And you never want to fill over the actual lid of the jar. That's where the topping comes to, and that's where your liquid comes to. Never go over that line. We like these bratwurst sausages, they're absolutely delicious. And in a casserole, they just absorb all the juices and they're still thick and meaty and chunky. Piece of turnip. So we have the jars with all the fillings in. What I'm going to do now is put 1/8 of a tablespoon of sugar, salt in each one. That's to our taste. Some people put quarter or a half a teaspoon in. We think 1/8 is quite sufficient. More slices of potato. Oh, in that one. And now, I shall have to go just baby. I'm just actually adding cold water, as when we start the canner up, the canner will be set up with cold water. So when we're cold raw packing food, which I explained, none of the food in the jar so far is cooked. The jar is cold because there's no heat expanding it, so we didn't have to heat the jar, therefore I don't have to heat the lid. The water in the canner will be cold and they will all heat as one together as the canner machine does its job. So I'm now going to fill up to the neck with water. And I'm hoping you can see that clearly. Now, one part of this process is actually called debubbling. Now, you can buy tools in supermarkets, cookery shops, things like that sell kiln jars and things like that. Now, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's actually bubbles on the surface. That's just air pockets that are being created as we've put the food in the jar. So I just use a bendy knife. You can actually buy a plastic blade that's called a debubbler. I think it's pointless to pay out extra if you've got something else you can use instead. So we just literally go round the side of the jar. I'm not sure if you can actually see the bubbles surfacing, and we just release those pockets of air and make sure there's going to be no infection gathering in our food while it's storing. So that's the first two done. It seems silly poking a plastic knife in the jar and trying to remove air bubbles, but I can assure you if you miss this step out, you can have wasted your time completely, because you can see straight away if you haven't done it afterwards when the jars have cooled down, because you will see bubbles collect, and that just really means your food's not safe. There could be bacteria gathering in those bubbles. So I'm quite happy with those. Just put my lids, which have just been resting on the draining board. And on that one, I've to decide which lid fits what. And there we have it. 5 large jars of sausage casserole. Now, into the canner. There is a tray at the bottom. You always need to put the tray in, so the glass isn't just banging against the metal really. So, stand. Now what we do is, if I was just going to pressure cook that amount of jars, if you can just come closer, I'll show. So where we fill to the neck with the liquid and the food, we do the same process with the water inside the canning machine. So your tallest jar would stick out its next length above the water. It doesn't matter if all the jars go under the water, but the tallest jar is just a next width out of the water. I'm actually going to continue off camera now and do a number of smaller jars, and I'll come back when the process is finished and show you what the end result looks like. Thank you.